Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about how to make images accessible when you are building websites and apps. They say that images often speak more than 1,000 words, and whilst that can be true, if you can't see the images for whatever reason, then you might have a problem if the images are there instead of words. But because I have been researching this and searching for lots of images, I wanted to share just a few images that I came across that I thought were really, really beautiful, just because they called out to me in some way. So here's the first one. In this one, I really, really loved the colours. It's just so sharp and clear, and blue is my favourite colour, and so that kind of called out to me. And I just thought this was an amazing photo. And photo number 2, this one instead, I really love like the shadows in this one, how it just like accentuated the drama in this one and created some really vivid scenery. And finally on this photo, this one spoke to me because it was so colourful and vivid and bright, and I just loved the way that it looks. It looks like a really fun place to be, and so that one also kind of called out to me. I love looking through photo sites and just looking at the different images that you can find. There's so many wonderful looking places that I'd love to visit. It's very inspirational. Wait, what? What do you mean you can't see the images? Yep, that's what I'm talking about today. A problem for quite a large proportion of the population. Blind people, people with low vision or no vision, or people that have a bad phone signal. This happens to me quite regularly on the way to work, that I am scrolling through social media and all of a sudden all of the images will disappear because the phone signal, it cuts out for about 15 minutes on the train. So this is something that's really important, is making sure that you do provide a text alternative for any images that you have on your site, with a couple of caveats which I'll talk about later. I know the saying goes that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words, but in order for your website to be accessible, you need both the picture and the words. So let's have a see then, if we can spark some imagination. The first image, the alternative text is a snow-covered mountain reflected in a still blue lake. I said blue was my favourite colour. That was the only clue that you got. And if you know what blue looks like, that helps you in some senses. Some people don't know what colours look like, but they can help in describing an image and in any case. But I wouldn't rely on colour by itself. But just by providing this extra alternative text, it gives you something to imagine. The second one, a country lane lined with poplar trees winding its way through rolling green fields. And the third image, Stockholm cityscape at night with a green aurora borealis. So already you can see, just by providing these alternative texts, and I'm shortening alternative to alt, because in HTML we use an attribute called alt, which is short for alternative, to provide this text, and I'll show you in a couple of examples how to do that in a minute. So let's look at these actual images then. The snow-covered mountain looked like this, hopefully something vaguely similar to what you maybe imagined. The country lane looked like this, and here is an image of Stockholm at night with the aurora borealis, something I've never actually seen myself. These are not my photos, they come from Pixabay and Unsplash. I would love to see the aurora borealis at some point. Okay, so what is the purpose of images? This is always important to think about, because here you can provide some caveats to how much alternative text you need to provide. Is the image decorative? For example, some sort of flourish or just a filler shape in the background, a background image, then it needs a null alternative text, which we'll talk about in a second. Is it descriptive? For example, is it a bakery website and you're showing off the cakes and you need to show what kind of cakes you make and what they look like, what kind of flavors. Then maybe you want to have some images of the cakes that you make, then you would need a descriptive alternative text. Or is your image functional? For example, here we've got a house shown as an icon. This is probably a home icon, like leading you back to the main homepage. Therefore, this is functional, and your alternative text should describe its function and not maybe what it looks like in its entirety. So let's have a look at some examples. So here I have created a very simple index.html document, which I've just got up and running with a live server over to the right hand side. And in this, I have given it a h1 for alternative text, and you can see an image, and the image source is /bread-4054268_1280.jpg, and I've just put a width on it so that it didn't take up the entire screen. And I wanted to highlight what this actually sounds like for somebody using a screen reader that can't see this image. Let's get it going.
Heading level 1 alternative text. Heading level 1 alternative text.
Okay, so I am pressing the down arrow, which is supposed to cycle through every line or section or individual item on a web page. And as you can see, when I press this, the only thing that my screen reader, which is NVDA, the only thing that is picking up is the heading in this case, the where it says alternative text. It's not reading out the image at all. Now, in some cases, if you don't provide an alt attribute on your image tag, then this would get read out by some screen readers as /bread-4054286_ and so on, which does not provide very much context to anyone at all. My screen reader seems to just be ignoring it because the alt text isn't there, but just be aware that if you do not provide an alt text at all, then some screen readers can read this out by the file name, which doesn't necessarily provide any good information, and it's not classed as a sufficient way to provide alternative text. So let's comment that one in, the next one, and save it. Okay, so now I have commented in my example number 2, and this has an empty alt text attribute, also known as a null alt text, and this is what would be used for decorative images. If you don't want your image to be read out at all, if it serves no purpose, that like giving extra information on your page, then you leave the alt text blank, and it sounds like this.
Heading level 1 alternative text. Heading level 1 alternative text.
So in this case, it actually sounds like the previous example because it doesn't read out the source, but this is a sufficient way for providing alternative text for non-descriptive or non-functional images, for decorative images. This is the way you would do it. Okay, so now I have commented in the third example, and this one has an alternative text as well. So let's listen to how this sounds.
Graphic: many different breads and pastries on display at a bakery.
As you can see, the alternative text gets read out, and I'm told it's a graphic by the screen reader. So there's no need in the alt text to write image of, because my screen reader tells me that it is an image or a graphic. But you can see that now this has made this accessible to someone who wouldn't be able to see this image normally. Now, as well as images, I've also got a couple of icons here. So let's test those out. Okay, so as you can see now we have got the icon that I was using before. which would be functional to take you back to the home page most probably. So you wouldn't want it to read out, like a black drawn icon with a chimney and a roof and that kind of stuff. That wouldn't be necessary. But here it is with no alternative text at all.
Clickable heading level 1 alternative text. Heading level 1 alternative text.
And you can see, again, the only thing that my screen reader picks up at the moment is that there is an alternative text heading on this page. So SVGs, if they're not made accessible, then they won't be announced automatically by the screen reader. Now let's have a look at an accessible example. Okay, so with this SVG, it's identical to the previous one, but as you can see on line 26, I've added the role is equal to image, and I have also directly after that included an aria labeled by title, and then on line 27 I have added a title with an ID of title. The ID here must match the area labeled by text, and there inside the title tag I have included home icon. So hopefully this will now announce that this is a home icon. Let's test it out.
Graphic home icon.
There we go. It tells us that we have got a graphic with a home icon inside it. So there you have two ways to make images accessible, either if it's a photographic image or some sort of chart, anything that you import via the image tag, then you need to make sure that you use the alt attribute and provide an alternative text there. And then if you are using SVG icons, make sure you give them the role of image, an area labeled by, and then a title. And that will make sure that they are read out by screen readers. Now, if you are feeling a little bit unsure of whether your image needs an alternative text, if it's decorative, if it's functional, if it's descriptive, there is a site which I can recommend. Let me bring it up for you. And I will put this link in the description down below. But if you go to w3.org/wai/tutorials/images/decision-tree, it will bring you to an alt decision tree. And here you can work your way through the decision tree, thinking about whether the image contains text, whether the image is a button or a link, and what the kind of implied meaning of the image is. You can work your way through and it will help you work out, is your image decorative, functional, is it descriptive, and what kind of alt text should you have. So I really hope that has been helpful for you today. Any questions, please do not hesitate to leave them in the comments down below, or find me on Twitter at EmmaDawsonDev. I hope you have a great day, a great week, and I'll look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!